Our group will be covering the Equal Protection Clause. What is it? The Equal Protection Clause protects everyone from discriminatory treatment, as well as limits the government from being able to infringe on constitutional rights of all people. What if a court wants to create a statute that discriminates against a certain group of people? First, they would have to create the statute. Then, the court themselves must decide if the type of discrimination being implemented fairly falls under one or more of the three tiers of scrutiny. The first is strict scrutiny, the second, intermediate scrutiny, and the third, rational basis review. Now, first, strict scrutiny. Strict scrutiny regards scrutiny against race. An example of strict scrutiny is World War II. After Pearl Harbor, the American government became afraid of the Japanese. They were afraid that they had sent spies to America and were undermining US operations. Because of this, they decided to round up around 120,000 Japanese domestically and send them to internment camps all around the western half of America. This was justified using strict scrutiny. There wasn't any other way to deal with this problem at the time other than by directly discriminating against race. Now, the second type of scrutiny, intermediate scrutiny, is scrutiny against gender. An example of this is the right to vote, which, to be more specific, women's suffrage. Women believed that at the time they were not given the right to vote, and they didn't have the right to vote at the time. They believed that this went against basic human rights and was not justified by intermediate scrutiny. They were being unfairly discriminated against with unfair justifications. And after the women's suffrage movement, to vote was allowed for women in 1919 and was permitted by passing the 19th Amendment. Now, the last type of scrutiny is rational basis, and it regards any type of scrutiny other than race and gender, and is almost always justifiable. We will see how rational basis is being implemented today. According to ARS Chapter 3, Article 14, each state agency having jurisdiction over lots, or other operated parking facilities must provide a exclusive parking lot space for people with physical disabilities. And the primary justifications for this is that disabled people should not have to suffer and walk long distances and potentially harm themselves um, while traveling. And we will see here this statute being broken. Breaking the statute can incur up to a $300 fine. And as we can see here, they don't have a permit to park here, so they cannot park here and will be fined for doing so. Now here this driver does have a handicap permit and will not be fined for breaking any sort of law. So again, this type of discrimination is allowed under the rational basis review because it removes unnecessary suffering among the physically disabled. In summary, the Equal Protection Clause protects people from scrutiny using a three-tier system, which is strict scrutiny, which includes race, intermediate scrutiny, which includes discrimination against gender, and rational basis, which uses any type of discrimination other than race and gender.